how have movies like The Notebook and That Love Story and other rom-coms and other Hollywood movies, how has that influenced the way we view love and relationships? There's someone out there for me. Brilliant.
I think they've set the standard like really high for me. So now like girls expect them.
They've set the standard really high for men, and now women expect men, you better reach that level. It's brilliant. Okay, the problem with movies like this is that it's made us think that that is the accurate description or the real definition of love and romance. And you see, it's I fall in love with this guy, and this is like the summary of all Hollywood movies, is I fall in love with this guy, and he's the one for me. He's my soulmate. There's no one else in this world suited for me. It is him. And then time happens, and they kind of grow apart. And in our context, maybe you go to uni, and you grow apart from your soulmate. And then you come home one Christmas, and guess who's home as well? Your soulmate. But the problem is you're now in a relationship with someone else. But you connect eyes again, and your souls kind of meet again, and you start thinking, oh no, this really is the one for me. And then you have this whole, but I really love you, and like any movie, he barges into, as you're about to get married, he barges in, and she's like, oh, he's here for me, and you start thinking, this is the one for me. He's my soulmate. And you fall back in love with this person, and you start thinking, I'm going to have three of the most darling children, and I'm going to live happily ever after. And this is kind of a summary of the love stories and how love works in Hollywood. But why do we only see these type of stories in movies and in Hollywood? Because that is not real dating. That is not true dating. It's not a real love story. Yet because of the influence of movies, we begin to think and we begin to approach dating with the thought of, I need to find the one. I need to find my soulmate if I'm going to be happy and live happily ever after. My soulmate is out there somewhere. And in order for me to be happy, I've got to find them. And that's what movies and the world have pressured us into thinking. And therefore, this morning, I want us to talk about finding the one. Finding your soulmate. So the title of the message, and it's pointless to put the slide up, but how do I find the one? How do I find the one? How do I find my soulmate? How do I find that person that's going to make me happy for the rest of my life? How do I find them? And we're going to look at a brief scripture in Mark chapter 10, verse 6 through to 9. Mark chapter 10, verses 6 through to 9. And I want us to get a real understanding this evening of how do I find the one? What does real love look like? Mark chapter 10, verses 6 through to 9. And let's start off by clearing something up. And I need everyone's attention, because if you don't get this, you're going to miss the whole point of the sermon. You need to listen carefully. And I need to clear something up as I tell you how to find the one. Listen. All ears on me. Don't miss this. You are never going to find your soulmate. And you're like, what? You are never going to find your soulmate. So I suggest this evening that the method of searching for your soulmate is something you're probably wasting your time doing. Instead of wasting time trying to find the one, I want to encourage us that we are choosing the right person to become one with. Instead of searching for the one, we need to find in the right person to become one with. Make sense? Instead of finding the one, you find the right person to become one with. And Jesus says in Mark chapter 10, verses 6 through to 9. He says, "But at the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. He says, for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become what? One flesh. And they will become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no man separate." And this evening, I want us to understand the dangers of this idea of I've got to try find the one, and hopefully, time willing, we will look at how do I find the right person to become one with. Obviously, Jesus here talking about you becoming one. That's marriage. That takes place in the marriage beds. That's through sex. Okay, you become one when you get married. So how do we find the right person to become one with? But in order to do that, I really want us to debunk or to make sure that none of us believe in this myth that the goal is for me to find my soulmate. So 4 dangers tonight about searching for a soulmate. 4 dangers when it comes to trying to find the one. And then if we have time, we'll look at how to approach finding the right person to become one with. Okay, 4 dangers of finding the one. Point number 1, the first danger, is you ignore reality. You ignore reality. What do I mean by that? Well, let me try and prove to you why this term soulmate is nonsense. Where does the term soulmate come from? Does anyone know where the term soulmate comes from? Yes. Okay, but what happened? What's the myth? What's the story that created this phrase soulmate? You need a soulmate. Okay, yes. Hey? No? Listen, I don't think any of you will know. I had to Google it. The term soulmate comes from a myth, an ancient story, and this is what the story was about. It was the Greek god Zeus, and this is what he wrote. This is the story, that humans originated, and originally they were 4 arms, 4 legs, and 2 heads with 1 soul. And what happened was, the God was like, I'm going to chop you in half, and now we have you and me, 2 arms, 2 feet, 1 head, half a soul. And in order for me to have my full soul, I've got to search around 8 million people and say, hey, does my soul match you? Because we're going to be soulmates. And when I meet my soulmate, I'm going to be wowed and in amazement of this love and this intimacy. And my whole life is going to be so much better because finally I've met my soulmate. Just like the myth, the term soulmate is a myth. A scientist try to see how possible is it. If soulmates are real, how possible is it for me to find a soulmate? He says 1 in 10,000 people, if soulmates are real, will manage to find their soulmate in their lifetime. 1 in 10,000, maybe there's 60 of us in this room. 1 in 10,000, if soulmates exist, will find their soulmate in this lifetime. Young people, I want you to know from the get-go, soulmates, the one, is the myth. And what do I mean by that is that God has created Trevor, and because of Trevor, He created Rachel. And if I was to marry any other woman, I've missed my soulmate. I stand here tonight and I'll tell you that Rachel's the one for me because we have become one. But I chose Rachel, and thank the Lord, she chose me, and I'm still amazed to this day. I chose, she chose, and we became one. She wasn't created, and I was created, and we were specially designed. And once we came together, our souls intertwined, and we were we were created for each other. And I want us to understand that, because so often we go around thinking, I need the one, I need the one, I need my soulmate. But for as long as we do that, you're going to struggle, and you're going to hate trying to find your soulmate, because they don't exist. And let me tell you this, trying to find the one is a lot harder than finding the right person to become one with. Make sense? Are you with me? Point number 2, the second danger of this idea of I date and I'm on my goal to find my soulmate is that you ignore good options. You ignore good options. You can be so fixated on finding the one who in your mind is perfect and flawless, and he's shaped this way, and he does this, and he laughs this way, and he talks this way, and he has this handwriting, and he says these things to me, and she smiles at me this way, and she winks at me that way, and become so fixated on who the one is that when a good option to become one with comes into your life, you say, oh, her smile's just not quite wide enough. Her hair's just not quite the right color. His bicep is probably 2 centimeters too small. And we become so fixated on I've got to find the one, that when God brings, and He'll bring a lot of good options into your life, well, He's not quite perfect, so He can't be the one. If you're looking for someone perfect, you're never going to find someone, because we all are imperfect. We're too stuck with our heads in the clouds in this fairy tale trying to find our soulmate that we miss good options. But not only can the idea of trying to find the one keep us out of good relationships, for young people this is important, the idea of the one keeps us in bad relationships. And that's the warning for number 3. Is you ignore red flags. You ignore red flags. What's the first danger? You ignore reality. Second danger, you ignore good options. Third danger, you ignore red flags. And I believe that this can be one of the biggest problems in young people, because they start to believe that they've found the one, they've found their soulmate, the love of their life. And that's the one for them. And it starts off by you really start liking this girl, and she likes you back, and it's just a connection that you've never felt before. And you're like, oh, this could be the one. And things escalate at rapid rates, and all of a sudden you've told her that you love her, and you just in awe of her, and you just fixated on her, and all of a sudden you start believing that she is the one for me. She's destined for me. I found the girl of my dreams. And then slowly red flags start to come into play. And you start pushing boundaries a little bit. Or maybe you start to understand that your beliefs don't line up. And he starts saying to you, no, but then he starts pushing you to be a little bit more physical, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. Maybe he's even abusive. Maybe she begins to control you, but you're so fixated because she's the one That if I break up with her, then I've lost my soulmate. And when we believe in this idea of she's the only one in the world for me, no matter the red flags that family and friends point us at, we think, no, it'll get better because we're destined for each other. We're perfect. I've never felt a love like this in my life before. It'll work out. Everything will become better. And the red flags increase, and the red flags increase, and warning after warning. Until finally, you can't take it anymore. But there's already a ring on it, and it's a messy situation. Young people, if you are in a relationship now where you see red flags, end it immediately. And if you get into a relationship, and you make a mistake, and you're dating the wrong person, and the red flags start coming, end it immediately. Not 2 years later when the pain is more and there's a deeper connection and you've crossed physical boundaries and you've become one because you've already crossed that boundary and you've already had sex with them and now it's harder to get rid of them because of the mistakes you've made. If there's red flags in your relationship, get rid of them and break up with that person. That's if you want to date right. If you want to be treated like a toy, you carry on playing with people who are throwing red flags at you. That is not your soulmate. And that is not the right person to become one with. Final point. The final warning of doing dating with the idea of the one is that you ignore real expectations. You ignore real expectations. The biggest issue with allowing Hollywood to shape our dating style is that we begin to have Hollywood expectations for our relationships. And then those expectations can never be met, meaning we will always be unsatisfied with the relationships that we are in. We want our Titanic moment. We want our notebook relationship where he writes me a letter every single day. We want that I'm the prom king, she's the prom queen, and we are just goals. We want that. But the reality is we'll never get that because that's a myth and that's not reality. And then we begin to think, well, he's not writing me a letter every day. He's not treating me like a queen. He's obviously not the one. And we have this mindset that when we find the one, we're going to fall madly in love with them and everything's going to become better. Reading a few of your answers you put on the script on those things, it's, I want to be in a relationship because it'll just make me happy and make my life better. Don't get into a relationship because you think they're going to make your life better. They're not going to complete you. They're not going to solve all of your issues. In reality, the only one who can complete you, the only one who can fix all your issues is Jesus Christ. He is the only one. He is the one whose love is perfect. He is the one who alone can satisfy your soul. So young people, I encourage you. Love Jesus first. Give Him your whole heart. Love Him with everything. And then start looking for someone who loves Jesus that much like you. And that might be the right person to pursue, to marry, and to become one with. Time is coming to an end, so we'll continue on the whole idea of how to find the right person to become with next week. Because young people, I believe that who you choose to marry one day is one of the most important decisions you will ever make in your life. But we can be so fixated on, I've got to find the one, that we miss out on that right person, on a good option to become one with. So I plead with you, don't date approaching with this idea of, I've just got to find the one for me. It's a messy path to walk on. Stay off it. There's not one specific person created just for you. So please don't have that mindset. Don't waste time looking for the one. Rather be looking at the one who died for you, the one who loves you unconditionally, the one who loves you more than any man, boy, woman, girl will ever love you. Love him. And the right person to become one with will come into your life. So next week we'll be looking at more of how do we find the right person to become one with. But please, don't approach dating with the mindset of, there is one for me, and I've got to find that person. Make sense? If you're here tonight and you don't have a relationship with Jesus, if you don't know about this great love that I tell you about, this perfect love, the one who died on the cross for you, then I want to tell you that no boy, no girl will ever satisfy your soul. They will never fulfill you, because it is only Jesus Christ that can do that. He is the only one who can quench the thirst of your soul and give you living water. He is the only one who can love you the way you deserve to be loved. And if you don't know Jesus Christ, then young people, please come and speak to me, speak to Ray, speak to someone. Because He loves you and He wants a relationship with you and He wants the best for you. So as we come to a close this evening, I want us to really spend time just reflecting. The last 3 weeks have been a lot of just practical stuff, and we haven't been able to really connect with the Lord. So what I want us to do as we come to a close now, I'm going to ask Taffy to play that last song again. And as you listen to the lyrics and as you listen to the words, I want you to spend time by yourself, thinking by yourself, and start to self-reflect and say, where have I been trying to find this love, this satisfaction, this soul-fulfilling need? Who and where have I tried to place that in? But in reality, who's the one that really loves me? And I want us to just spend time being in awe and in amazement at the pride of the Father and the love that He has for us. And I want you to know tonight that the love that God has for you far outweighs any love a husband or a wife will ever show you. And as we self-reflect, I really want you to start setting in your mind boundaries, reality checks, lifestyles that you want to be living to find the right person to become one with. Maybe you're in a relationship or you're pursuing someone and you know it's not the right thing, but you're doing it for the wrong reason. And I want you to spend this time self-reflecting and just seeing, Lord, what am I doing wrong? Am I searching for fulfillment in a human, in something else? Or is my fulfillment solely in you? So let's just enjoy this time connecting with the Lord, and then I'll close in prayer. And if you don't know the Lord and you don't have a relationship with Him, allow this song to show you how much God loves you. If you want to have space, if you want to move away from the person next to you, feel free to do that. But let's just spend time, you and God, no one else. Lord, thank you for your love. Thank you that in you we can find the one who satisfies our souls. In you we can find the one who fulfills us and completes us. Lord, in you we can find the one who loves us the way we deserve to be loved. Lord, I thank you that your love is like no love that we will ever be able to show or receive from any boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife. So, Lord, I pray for anyone in this room tonight who is so fixated on the idea of a boyfriend or a girlfriend to fulfill them and to complete them. That, Lord, I ask that you give them the fulfillment in you. And you reveal that you alone are the one who completes them. Let us all become so in awe and in amazement of you and so in love with you, Jesus Christ, that you are our number one focus. That we have an undivided devotion to you as single people. And when the time comes to become one with someone, Lord, may you bring like-minded people, Christ-like people, people who love you just as we do, into our lives. Lord, I ask for these young people that they don't go about trying to find their soulmate, wasting time trying to find the one. But rather, Lord, allow them to be so fixated on you and focused on their relationship with you, that when the right person comes to become one with, they're in a spiritual maturity and in a place where they're ready to date and marry. So continue to shape and mold us, Lord. Continue to lead and guide us in our relationships, in our everyday lives. I pray this all in your mighty and holy name. Amen.